Hi everyone, and welcome to Out of Nowhere with your host Bob Brown. My special guest today is Lee Hampel. Um, we're going to talk about Bray Road. Oh, it's too echoing a bit, Lee.
It's what?
It's echoing.
It's echoing?
Yeah,
Okay. How can I? Is it still echoing now?
wait a minute. No, that's fine. I think
That's
that's
okay.
all right now.
Okay.
Think so, anyway. Yeah, on today's show, we'll be talking about werewolves and Bray Road with my guest, Lee Ample. Hello there, Lee.
Hello, Bob. How you doing? All's good here in southeastern Wisconsin, and thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That's all right, my good friend. Uh, Lee, for people who have never heard your story, can you describe your 35-acre property near Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and how close it was to Bray Road?
How close is it to Bray Road?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm a quarter mile from Bray Road. My property is in between a road called Bowers Road and Bray Road. Actually, front up on Bowers Road, but the back part of my property is 1/4 mile from Bray Road. So I'm right next to Bray Road, and all the activity that occurs on my farm, from seeing the dog man to lights to orbs to smell to sounds to UFOs, UAPs, and everything else that goes with paranormal activity is in the back part of my property. Most of it is back there towards the west, which is towards Bray Road. I'm a quarter mile from Bray Road. Yes.
what was your understanding of the area before any of these strange experiences began?
Well, to tell my story, I was a math teacher 35 years in Wakanda, Illinois, where I still live, but I go to my farm often. I'm 30 miles from Elkhorn, but I go to my farm often, and I make hay there and ride ATVs and snowmobiles and other things at my farm. But I bought the property in 2007 with my mother's inheritance help, and I I had a neighbor farm 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. No, 2010. I started farming in 2011. I was farming at my mother's farm also. I was renting land from her, and I was going to do that till she passed away, which is 2010 at 96 years old. Bless her soul. So I moved my operations up there in 2011. So I farmed 2011, 2012, and 2013. So for 6 years, I had to about any werewolf or dog man, or was I even interested? I had no interest in that. Skeptic, sure. I was a math teacher, computer science teacher. I had heard about Bigfoot. I had never heard of the dog man until September of 2013, when I had two neighbors help me bale hay. Uh, they the Bears were playing the Packers, so my regular helpers wouldn't help me because they were watching the Bear Packer game. But I had two farmers come down, and they helped me load 600 bales of hay. At the end of the day, in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, we were standing at the end of my shed there, and they had to have a beer. They said so. I got them some beer, but one of them says to me, "Now, Bob, this is the first time I knew anything about what this beast of Bray Road was or the dogman was, when this farmer says to me out of the blue, Lee, the werewolf lives back on your property." Now, you might as well have been telling me, the unicorn is back there, or the fairies, or what. I mean, I look at him and go, what are you talking about? What do you mean the werewolf lives back on my property? And then he said, yeah, it's called the Beast of Bray Road, and people say it lives back on this farm. And I had bought the people who had the farm had owned it for 60 years, the Ludkeys. And I found out later they had had experiences. They didn't tell me when I purchased the property, though. I just needed to bale hay, get hay for the horses. We had here in Wakanda, we had a horse boarding operation and a horse academy, and we had 50 horses that I had to get hay for. That's all I was trying to do. Now this guy, 6 years after I had the property, is telling me the werewolf lives back on your property. I told him, I said, you're so full of it, your eyes are brown. And then he starts telling about all these people that have seen it. And they go, wait, I know these people. They never said anything. He goes, oh, no, nobody will say anything about it, you know?
No.
You know, and then a couple of days later, one of my neighbors had seen it eating a raccoon. In fact, the neighbor who was sharecropping with me had seen it eating a raccoon on Bray Road in 1999. So I took a raccoon out in the back part of my property and dropped it in my fence line, the west side, the closest to Bray Road, and dropped him in the fence line. Now, this was September 2013, and the grass was at least 3 feet tall. I went out there a couple days later, and that raccoon was cut from head to tail, and all of its innards were gone. But it was down in this grass hole. I had just dropped it in 3 feet of grass, and there was no tracks. There was no trail going into it. The grass wasn't knocked down, but yet here this raccoon is cut open. I go, well, that is really crazy, because I grew up on a farm, and I go, that what could do that? A hawk. The only thing could do that was a hawk. Fly down in there. Well, then I'm thinking, okay. And a couple days later, that raccoon is out of there. He's in a pile 15 feet away. So I go, that hawk can't pick up a 15, 20-pound raccoon and take it out there and put it in a pile, you know. So I went down to my neighbor, and I said, hey. I go, here. Okay, now here's what's happened. If you've been on my property, you coming over there and you're doing these things and hoaxing me. And he goes, no, Lee, I would never do that. And I know he wouldn't. You do not go on other people's property, farm property. Well, so then I put out a camera in 2013. Since then, Bob, I probably put out at least 30 to 40 cameras. I have 5 cameras out right now. I've had 1 to 5 cameras out. I have hundreds of thousands of pictures of paranormal activity. I've seen the beast 3 times. And if you would tell me in 2013, Bob, that I'm going to tell you there's a 7-foot tall dog man, 3.5-foot wide shoulders, walking around on my farm a lot of the time, because I see the tracks. I've seen the tracks hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. If you told me I was going to tell you that in 2026, in 2013, you'd have my chainsaw, my dog, my truck. I'd have bet you anything I wouldn't be saying something like that. But I am. There is. I've seen it. I have pictures. I have a lot of verification data that I've collected very scientifically over the last 13 years. And yes, there is a 7-foot tall dog man walking around on my property many times. In fact, there's more than one. More than one.
When you look at the photographs, what you've gathered, is there one piece of evidence that still gives you the chills?
You get what now?
Still gives you the chills.
Still giving.
Frightened by looking at it.
I mean, oh yeah, I get chills. Yes. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I would love to. You know, the times I've seen it. One was in May 11th, 2021. I saw it in the back part of my property. It really was on the neighbor's property, and I took pictures with my iPhone iPhone 11 for 3.5 minutes. Now he was a quarter mile away, so the pictures they're pretty good, but I was watching it and taking pictures. One of those pictures, I have contact in Chicago who was a cameraman, and he was a cameraman in Hollywood. Now he's in Chicago, and he had contacted me and said if I needed any help with pictures, he would help me. So I contacted him and said I have a picture of the beast, and I took him my iPhone 11, and he said, "Oh, I have a computer app that will tell you exactly how big that is." He said, it knows it, it's a computer app. It
Yeah.
takes care of the focal length and all that. And so I sent him the picture, and it came back, and he said that's 7 feet tall, and the shoulders are 3.5 feet wide. And it's walking on two legs. It's bipedal. It walks on two legs. I watched it walk away from me that particular day, September or May 11th, 2021. And that's so the computer app says that's how big it is. And I mean, I'm watching it, and it was huge. I'm shack
It
size.
sounded like we used.
Pardon?
It sounded as though it was you.
Oh yeah, it's huge. It takes 2, 3, 4 foot steps. It takes 4 foot steps sometimes across my field in snow or on the dirt and stuff. So it's huge. Yes, it's heavy too. It sinks in the ground.
Oh my God. Um, your experiences aren't isolated to your property. Other people around Bray Road have reported strange creatures and unusual experiences. What similarities have you noticed between their stories and yours?
Well, yeah, everybody. I mean, I can drive down Bowers Road or Bray Road or Route 11, which goes right through there too, and show you, hey, this farm, this guy saw it, out in his field. This particular farmer, one farmer, he was in his shop at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now he's a farmer, but he's also a landscaper. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, he was working on February 2014. He was working on a salt spreader, and he heard his donkeys were making a very strange braying noise. And so he went outside, and he has a lot of lights because he has a lot of landscape equipment and snow plows and stuff. At 3 o'clock in the morning, and here a coyote came running down his driveway towards his shop that he was in working. And so he said, "Why is a coyote running down my driveway towards me, towards the shop area, which was behind the barns?" And then 10, 15 feet behind it, here is this, huge two-legged creature chasing it, and it ran within 30 feet of him. At it ran between him and a fuel tank, which was 50 feet away, so it was within 30 feet of him, and it scared him crazy. He was really scared, and he went in the shop. He called the neighbors at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, "Get up here! I'm not coming out of my shop. That thing just ran through my driveway." So, and he lives about a mile away. But if you go within a 3, 4, 5 mile radius of my farm, the dog man, the beast of Bray Road, has been seen many, many times. Of course, on Bray Road, it's been seen a large number of times, but also Bowers Road has been seen many, many times by all my neighbors.
How, when you talk about it, Lee, how close have you been to a werewolf?
To the dog man, the werewolf, how close?
Yeah. How far?
Well, I mean, he 10, 15 feet. I mean, in May 20th of 2024 at 10:30 at night, I was coming down my driveway, which is about 300 feet long, and I had some people. I have an open house every year, and I have anywhere from 70 to 100 people come, and I give them a presentation, and then we do a tour of the farm every 2 hours. And I was picking up signs from that on May 20th, 2024. And when I was coming down my driveway, my 10:30 night, my door was open. The door going into my barn, it's a human door. The big barn door was closed, and there was light behind it. And all of a sudden, here in that doorway, which is less than 100 feet from me, probably, yeah, here's the figure standing in that doorway for about 4 to 5 seconds. He stood in that doorway, and then he shot off to the side. And so then of course, I threw my brights on, went around my barn and looked lights all over, my headlights, and never saw it again. But he was, well within 100 feet of me. And he's been closer than that. He's hit my truck with a stick. I know it was the beast. I mean, that he was like 10 feet away at that time. I did not see him, but when my truck got hit with a stick at 7:30 at night in 2017, along my fence line in a woods that's right next to my farm there, and I quickly backed up and looked, and here was a foot-long stick laying ahead of my vehicle, my truck, that had been broken. It was about a foot long, and both ends had been broken. And I looked in the woods right there, and there was nothing there, but my truck had a big scratch on it. And so he was within 10 feet of me at that time.
There's another thing as well, Lee. You have photographed strange black and white mist. What do you believe these mists are?
The mist is really mysterious, I guess would be the word. The mist is extremely mysterious. Um, I put out I put out raccoons in 2013 for a little bit, and many strange things happened to raccoons. Being cut open, the innards taken out, and of course being carried away. Then in 2000, then like in October 2013, I started putting out deer. I got roadkill deer, and I could put them out on my farm. I put out 20 deer, and every one of them have a story. 19 of those deer were carried away, not by a person and not by a coyote. They can't carry it away. There's no bear in southeastern Wisconsin,
Right.
no cougar, and yet those deer were picked up and carried away in front of working cameras. I had at least 1 to 2 to 3 cameras on every one of those deer. I do have some pictures, but I should have dozens and dozens and dozens of pictures of what picked that deer up and carried it away. But it was either two things happened the majority of the time, that the deer was either, the front quarter was mutilated, or the tongue and eyes were taken out, or the front quarter would be cut off and taken away, or the head would be cut off and taken away, chopped off. There was this mist would come, and it's a cloaking mist. And I've been in the mist at least 4 or 5 times where I'm in front of those cameras and you cannot see me. I set the camera off, but you cannot see me. And then I would come over to take out the SD card. I'm right next to the camera, then I would be visible. But that cloaking mist would come and the deer would be there, and then the deer would be gone, or part of it would be gone, or the deer would be moved. And that mist is really mysterious, because I still get that. Even last night, I had the mist was there in one of my cameras, and dissipated in about 5 minutes. And there was no fog last night. I'm sorry, this is Monday night here. The visibility was 10 miles, but in front of my one camera, I have 5 cameras now. In front of my one camera, which is a security camera, so it's going all the time, you could only see about 10 feet. So you couldn't see anything. And yet the visibility, according to the meteorologist, was 10 miles. So that mist is really mysterious. And I don't know what it is. I've been in it. Linda Godfrey's been there. She wrote many books, and she's been in it. One of the times I was in that mist, and half of my body is gone. The upper half you can see, and the lower half, you can't see the lower half of my body. the camera cannot see it. So I know it's a cloaking mist.
Do you think you've gone into something like interdimensional?
Oh yes, oh yeah, yeah. Because yes, absolutely. I have one sequence of pictures where there's nothing in the picture, uh, and I had that camera at that particular time trigger. When it triggered, it it would take 3 pictures in 1 second. And the first picture, there's nothing in it other than it's a nighttime picture, other than uh, uh, a chicken. Now, 2016, the DNR in Wisconsin, Department of Natural Resources, stopped people picking up deer on the road because Wisconsin has a chronic wasting disease that they're trying to get rid of out of the deer population. So
Right.
I couldn't pick them up anymore. So I put out chicken and other things I put out since then. They say I can put out those things, but not a deer. So this particular time, this was 2000, it was triggered, and there's nothing in the camera. Now, it's 3 pictures in 1 second. Now, we blink our eyes at about 22 hundredths of a second. But in between these pictures, it's about a quarter second. So blink your eyes, and the next picture, here is a shadow figure in front of my camera in that quarter second, a shadow figure. You can see through it, it's translucent. Then in the next picture, it's solid, it's 3 dimensional, and it's black, and you can't see through it. So I have right there evidence that it has transmigrated or materialized right in front of my camera, and I have pictures to prove that.
What do you think werewolves are then?
What do I think? What?
What do you think a werewolf is?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I mean, I don't know if it's a werewolf. I mean, if I read the stories about werewolves, they have the blood situation where they, need to have blood and stuff. I think this is a dog man. I don't believe it's a true sense of the form werewolf. It has never hurt anybody. It has charged people and then mock charged them and stopped. Of course, it threw it. Now it hit my truck with a stick, and also hit my truck one time with a rock. But I think it's more playful. I don't think it's never has hurt a person. It has hurt vehicles. It has scratched vehicles with its claws, which are long. I mean, I have the front uh, hand, or it's like a hand because I have prints of that in the snow and stuff, and it's huge. It's about 10 inches long, but it's got huge nails, and it scratched cars. But I don't think it's a werewolf in that true sense of the form. It, it I don't think it would hurt you unless it got cornered or something. But the time I saw it in 2000, in May 11th, 2021, I called my brother. It was Fred, who's been very helpful with this, and he was a computer systems analyst for IBM, and he's come a long way. I mean, he was a very strong skeptic, and now he says, yeah, there's something out in your field, Lee. But I walked over there because I wanted to see what I wanted to see if there were tracks when I saw it in May 11th, 2021, and I knew it was right over there. But I had my brother on the phone, and I said to him, I said, hey, if this thing comes out, just call the coroner, because I know the power of it. I know its strength. I know the claws it has. And if it would attack me, I'd just call the coroner, and I'd become Wisconsin folklore. They'd say, hey, that dumb farmer went over there and chased the dog man, the beast of Bray Road.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but when I got there, here were these tracks that are very, very distinctive. They're 5 toes and 7 pad tracks. Their dog tracks are about 3.5 inches, 3.5 by 4 inches, right in that area. And they're 5 toes and 7 pads. They have 5 toes with claws, so they're not feline, they're canid. and they have a center pad and then a heel pad. And there's no track like that in the world. And I've seen that track hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times on my farm and the neighboring farm. And when I went over that particular time to look right, I knew right where it was at. Here were these 5-toed, 7-pad tracks.
Yeah.
And some deer tracks were there too. But I knew it wasn't a deer. And so they weren't fresh. But here were these fresh 5-toed, 7-pad tracks, which every track expert I show them to, they tell me they're double hits. They tell me another animal stepped on them. There's no description. I went to AI. I
Yeah.
sent it to I sent it to AI probably about a month ago, and AI told me that it was a river otter, and and
Ah,
I and I sent back and I go, well, I don't. There's no rivers on my farm, or there's no water source. There is a drainage ditch, but not going to support a river otter. And then I said, there's no water source. I have no rivers. There are no big streams or creeks on my land or near my land. And then AI sent back and said, well, if there's anything else we can help you with, we'd be glad to help you. So AI had no answer for that track, which I've seen hundreds and hundreds of times on my farm.
you have also reported witnessing or photographing a UFO, what appears to be otherworldly beings inside. Can you describe exactly what happened?
Sure, sure. Okay. Witness on the UFO that has the being in the window or in the doorway. That's a picture on my game camera. The game camera, my game camera took. Um, I have many UAPs or UFOs on my game cameras. My witnessing, I've seen orbs, many orbs. I have probably 100, 150 videos of orbs that I've taken with a night vision camera. Um, and I've seen streaks, shafts of light coming from right through all the clouds, and right down into my property. I've seen that at nighttime. Um, the UAPs or the UFOs, I have many pictures from my game cameras over the last
Yeah.
13 years. And the one has a picture, yes, there's a figure standing in the doorway of that particular craft. Yes, there is.
Strange, isn't it? What did the object look like?
I'm sorry, what?
What did the object look like? The
Okay, the
UFO.
object, it's a figure. It was, you could see the head, you could see the shoulders, and the arms were, it was like it was leaning on the doorway. The two arms were outstretched, and of course, the legs were at the bottom, going down the bottom of the doorway. The head looked rather large. It looks rather large. You could look at it. It looks rather large compared to the body. But it's a figure. It looks like he's standing in the doorway. It looks like leaning, looking out. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, one of the most fascinating parts of your story is your experience with missing time. Can you
Oh,
explain what happened?
oh, missing time. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's one of the weirdest things because I'm a math teacher. I'm computer science and chemistry. Missing time. Well, of course, Einstein talked about time and talked about it. We thought it was a relatively linear experience, for most of mankind's existence until Einstein came along and said, no, time has parameters. It has different speeds it can move at and things of that type, and not it may not be a linear experience, but in our with our reality that we have, Bob, right here, we see time as linear. But oh man, I mean that's an experience. I'll tell you about one of the experiences. I've had 3 times where I've just totally lost time and I don't know where I was at or what I was doing. I'll tell you the one time. May 5th, 2017, I pulled out of my driveway at 10:30 at night to go into the town of Lake Geneva, actually go to Walmart. But
Yeah, yeah.
and two telephone poles down, when I turned onto Bowers Road, here were two glowing orangish red eyes right next to the road, about 3 feet off the ground. And I go, whoa, okay, that's not a coyote or a deer, because they're yellow to yellow green. So I knew right away I'm looking at the beast, because other people had described it, had said it had glowing red eyes, or in this case were orangish red eyes, or red eyes. And so I knew. So I accelerated, through my brights on. It went down the embankment that's on Bowers Road there. Now that embankment is 4.5 feet deep. May 5th, 2017, the grass was 1 foot tall on top, and it's looking over the top at me. So those eyes are at least 6 feet off the ground at that time, when it's looking at me as I'm approaching it and accelerating. Then instantaneously, it goes, jumps or flies, I don't know what you want to call it, but instantaneously, blink of an eye, it's 15, 20 feet out in the field, and it turns, and I see one red eye. And then again, instantaneously, it's another 15, 20 feet out in the field, and it turns again, and I see one red eye. And out in the field, that red eye is just as bright as it up at the road. So it's not reflecting. That thing is generating energy somehow to emit a light source. We don't have anything like that. We have some fish. We, of course, have the glow bugs or lightning bugs, but they do it by a chemical process. It's not very bright. This was bright, so that's really weird. But so I went down. Here's what I think I did, Bob. I went down the road, turned around, came back, shined my light. I turned around the driveway, right down the road, farmer's driveway. Came back, shined my lights out in the field, and I didn't see anything. And okay, this is an eyewitness report. Now, eyewitness reports have, we see things with our brain. We don't see things with our eyes. All the eyes do is let the light through, and our
Yeah.
brain interprets, and everybody's brain interprets vision differently. But an eyewitness report, the sooner you report it, the more accurate it can be, at least to the person who's reporting it. So what I think I did, I went down the road, turned around, came back, shined my lights out in the road, came back into my barn and pulled in my barn. And, it's like, it was 10:30, I know, when I left. So it's like, maybe 10:15 or, 10:50, 10:40, 10:45, sometime in there. And I got to call somebody. So I call my brother Fred, because I want to tell somebody right now. I don't want to wait till morning. I don't want to
No.
sleep. It's an eyewitness report. It has very variables to it. So I want to tell somebody. So I called my brother Fred and told him the story very calmly. Hey, I just saw the red eye. I just saw the beast. But anyway, I told him the story, and that was May 5th, 2017. Now, fast forward to January 1st, 2018, and my niece, his daughters, has a brunch, a New Year's Day brunch, and I was there, and our families were there, and I was talking with my brother and my sister-in-law, and I said, yeah, I'm sorry, I called you guys so late. It was probably like 11 o'clock maybe when I called you, and I knew they'd be in bed, and they were, and Fred got up and listened to my story graciously, and Sharon, my sister-in-law, looks at me and she said it was well after midnight. It was like 12:20. I go, what are you talking about? And Fred said it was after midnight. Bob, where was I for an hour to an hour and 20 minutes? I
Exactly.
I know what I did. I went down the road, turned into a driveway, came back, shined my lights out in the field, drove into my barn and called my brother. But it was an hour later. Where was I? Did I get taken away? Did I get, I don't have it. That's so scary. All three times when I've lost time out there, it's been very scary. Once I found out I had lost it, because I did not know it at the time. I did not know it. And I have verification this time through my brother's eyewitness, another time through a video that there was a video team there and took a picture, took videos of me when I said I was nowhere near that. And here I'm in a video on Bray Road, which I had not been on that night, but I had been. And so that, yes, time missing is really, really, uh, I guess, scary, and it makes you really think,
Of
that,
course it does, yeah.
I mean, how can time, which we view as linear, all of a sudden stop in our world, in our three-dimensional world that we live in, stop and then start again? Where was I for an hour? I have no idea. That's so that
No
just
idea where you was.
no, but I was somewhere.
Have you got
I
any have you got any mark on your body or anything like that?
have I what?
Got any mark on your body?
Okay, try it again. Couldn't quite hear.
Mark. Any scratches or marks on your body?
On my building, or on any scratches or marks?
Yeah, on your own body.
On my own body?
Yeah.
Yes, I
After,
do.
after missing
Yes,
time.
I have. Yes, on my arm here, I have two marks that I didn't have, and then about 5 years ago, um, yes, I have two marks I could show you that they look like uh, they 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 had bumps to them for a while, and I don't know what they are. I still have them on my arm. Yes, I do. And I've been going to get it X-rayed, but I never have. Maybe I have a chip. I don't know. Yes, I did. I do have two marks that I do not know where they came from, and what they are. Yes, I do.
Have you photographed any portals opening?
Have I what?
Any portals open?
Portals?
Photographs?
Portals? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have many photographs of portals opening, and sending light sources through it. Light shafts through it, through the portals. And orbs. I have a couple that I think that they look like portals, and it looks like orbs are coming out of them. None that I've not seen any figure come through, but I have. Yes, I have a number of pictures of what would be considered a portal. Yes, and I have, like I say, I have lights coming through them, light shafts, and lights coming through them, and orbs.
Oh, I'm going to say, yeah. You have you have reported seeing or photographed orbs. What do you believe they are?
Say it again. What did they?
Orbs. What do you think they are? These orbs.
The
What appear?
orbs?
Yeah.
I mean, they're infrared. They can be infrared, or they can be natural lights within our vision. Because I've seen a couple orbs. Linda Godfrey and I saw an orb come across my field one night. I mean, what they are is a spherical ball of light. And I have my assistant in. I have so many of them. I sent my assistant out to chase one down while I recorded it on a night vision camera, and he walked right through the orb, and it was about the size of a soccer ball on his arm as he walked through it. So, but I mean, they can't exist from a physics point of view. I've talked with quantum physicists about it, and I said, I have infrared orbs on my farm, and I can show you videos. And do you want to see the videos of the infrared orb, which are about the size of a soccer ball? And some are bigger, and some are smaller. But I have definite proof when it was on his arm as he walked through it that it's about the size of a soccer ball. And the quantum physicists I've talked to say you don't have them. You cannot have infrared orbs. You can't have orbs emitting, showing light and changing light structure in your field. You don't have that. And I said, you want to see the videos? And they go, no, because then I got to prove that your camera is faulty. Well, at least a dozen cameras that people have brought night vision cameras, and I have had 4 of them, and they all get these orbs, and they come flying by, or they stop and they play peekaboo. They go up and down by my truck window, and then they fly away. But the quantum physicists that several I've talked to say I don't have them there, and they will not look at the videos because they say they have to show the fault within the camera. But they'd have to do a thorough investigation on at least a dozen cameras or more. So those orbs, they are very interesting, just like the mystical mistas, because they are there often. I get them on my cameras monthly, weekly, probably. They come by and they emit they have an energy field, and they emit light. I've seen them with my naked eye, and I've seen them with my night vision cameras.
There's also the phenomenon sometimes called the hitchhiker effect, where unusual phenomena seems to follow people away from the original location. Have you experienced anything like that?
You ask great questions, Bob. Jeez. I mean, I know it's called a hitchhiker, and I've seen that on Skinwalker Ranch, and I feel I have much more information than Skinwalker Ranch does. They don't have a cryptid. I have the Beast of Bray Road. And I don't just have one. I think there's at least 8 different creatures
Right.
out there. And the hitchhiker effect. One of those orbs came in my truck, came inside my truck, and I was taking video of it inside my truck. Came in, it was flying in front of my windshield, and then it flew to the back seat. And and I thought, well, you little guy, did you go out, or are you still in here? So I kept so that particular night I kept my camera with me, and I brought it back to Wakanda, Illinois, which is 30 miles away. And when I got here, I parked my truck in 30 miles, and it takes 45 minutes or so. And I turned my camera back on, and there he was. There it was, I guess. It was still inside my truck, going in front of my windshield, and then it'd go to the back seat, and then it'd come back out again. I watched it for about 10 minutes, and I go, I don't know where you're going to go now, but if you want to stay in my truck, I'm going back up to my farm in 2 days. So if you want to go back up, you can go back up. So I told it that, and I never saw it again. But yeah, it absolutely came to Wakanda from Elkhorn in my truck. Yes, it was there when I got here and started looking in the night vision camera again.
Looking at everything you've experienced, the creatures, the sightings, UFOs, missing time, portals, figures, and all, do you think we are dealing with one phenomena or several different phenomena?
Well, I mean, they're certainly connected. Geographically, they're connected. They're all within 100 acres. Some of these have occurred. I've been on my property or on my neighbor's property within, right by my property. So it's all occurred probably within a 100-acre area. So that's all geographically, it's all occurred together. Do I think there's a causation effect
Yeah,
for all of them? Yes, I do think there's probably a singular causation effect that is in play on my farm. I mean, EMF, electromagnetic force. I mean that particular concept has to have electricity. Now, out in my field, I can take an EMF meter out there, and I've taken many out there. You know, I purchased them, and other people have brought EMF meters,
Right.
and they don't they don't go off, they don't do anything, and then all of a sudden they'll go off, and there's no lines out in my field. There's the closest line would be Bray Road, which would be a quarter mile away. Well, EMF dissipates very quickly. It dissipates at the ratio of 1 over d squared. So if you move away 10 feet, its dissipation rate is very rapid. So there's no EMF out in my field from those electrical lines that are a quarter mile away. That cannot happen. But yet I do have very high spikes out in my field. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with EMF, but at 4
Yeah.
milligauss, 4 milligauss, you can either use milligauss as a unit or microtesla as a unit. I use milligauss. At 4 milligauss, my EMF meters, they will start beeping, or they flash red, or both. And that's an indication that the EMF field that you're near is a little bit too high. They're not sure what it does do to people. There's been many experiments or surveys are trying to figure out if it does affect people or not, but they don't feel that above 4 milligauss that is probably beneficial to a person. Bob, I've had readings in my field of 1,700 milligauss.
Oh my God.
1,700.
100.
I just got 1,200 like 3 or 4 days ago. And I talk to electrical engineers, and I tell them, I got 1,700 milligauss out in my hayfield, and they said, no, you don't. And I go, well, I do. And they said, well, then your measurement unit is not functioning. I said, well, it's happened with many of them. And I said, I know the measuring units are very simple for an EMF meter.
Yeah.
And so I think there is a singular source, like maybe the EMF, whatever is creating this EMF. Now, could that energy that's out there be manipulating the EMF meter, or is it really the EMF really that high? They all indicated that could be dangerous to be that high. And I have had people who have been to my farm have problems with medical devices. Heart monitors have gone off and said their heart is racing, and they go check it, and it's not. So I have had people with medical devices malfunction in my farm, which is very scary. If I have a sign up that if you have pacemakers, I'm just telling you that this could be a high energy field, and I have had medical devices not function for people properly. No pacemakers, but the heart monitors that just tell if your heart is racing or going too fast. So those things are all there, and I think they could affect, cause many of these situations of what people call paranormal. But I just take data. I'm collecting data. I've been collecting data 13 years. People say, well, what have you found? I go, well, I can show you what I found, a lot of data. But, Bob, science moves slow. Einstein said in the 20s, the 30s, there was a black hole. We could not find a black hole till into the late 50s, early 60s. We never found a black hole. So, maybe 40 years from now, I'll continue with my research as long as I can and capable of. And maybe 40, 50 years from now, somebody will say, hey, Lee Hampel has a lot of data. I mean, I have logs, I have albums, I have pictures, I have digital pictures. Lee Hampel, maybe, he has some of this stuff from back in the 2020s and 2010s, and maybe it'll be useful then. That's all I can, hope for as a scientist. Hope for that someday that it will be of use to somebody who wants to study it. I have talked to college professors and asked if they would be willing to study it, and their response is, we cannot get a grant for that. The government's not going to give us a grant to study your farm, and we have uh, professors, they live by grants. I mean, that's
Oh,
and
they do.
yeah, and so right now I can't get anybody of that caliber to experience it. I don't have the money to hire one like Skinwalker Ranch does. So, uh, so that's my hope is someday, hopefully my research, my experiments that are repeatable. I've repeated many of them, and hopefully they will become beneficial to our existence further down the road. Hopefully
I'm
that
sure.
that's my hope.
Question here is, have people ever dismissed you, mocked you, or questioned your credibility?
Sure. Oh, sure. I don't. I mean, I'm not out to convince anyone. Uh, I don't make speculation. I depend on only my eyewitness
Hmm.
by 3 times, but I mainly depend on hard data, pictures and recording pictures and doing experiments that have been repeatable, and I continue to do experiments with chickens and things of that type in different positions, different places, and have cameras on them and see. I get very similar responses. The chicken is there, then the chicken is gone, and there's no pictures on the camera. And the chicken is in a barrel, 4 feet off the ground, so a coyote's not taking the chicken. Um,
No.
but yeah, people come, and some people come and they say, I'm a non-believer, and I go, well, if you'd have talked to me in 2013, I was a total non-believer. So I'm not here. You look at my pictures, and then you decide what these are. You decide what I have in these pictures, and so people say, well, you don't have anything. Well, then you come for an hour and 2 hours, and at the end of the 2 hours, if you say I don't have anything, then that's your opinion. That's fine. But
Everybody's got
that
opinion.
that doesn't happen. People will come and go, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this. Wow, I got a lot of thinking to do. I had a biochemist come, and his daughter was, um, he was a biochemist for Abbott Labs in here in Illinois, and his daughter brought him because he was a total skeptic, total non-believer, and she asked if I would show pictures to him. And I go, sure, if you want to come, and I charge money. They have to pay me, for my time. And after 2 hours, he was shaking. He goes, I go, are you okay? He goes, he said, I got a lot of thinking to do, because I got a lot of thinking to do. And his daughter said thank you, and then they left. And I heard back from the daughter and saying that, Dad is still really, really perplexed at what you have and what you showed him, and he's trying to incorporate into his thought patterns that he's had for the last 70 years. And that's it. People have had a thought pattern for 70 years, and all of a sudden that's disrupted by my pictures and by my data. Well, that's a time period before somebody's going to say, well, yeah, my whole thought pattern for the last 70 years is wrong. People don't say that. They walk away and say, yeah, Lee, you got something crazy, but I got to go to work tomorrow. So and so yeah, yes, some, but I don't. It doesn't bother me. I have big shoulders, and I know what my data shows, and I know how I've approached it scientifically,
Exactly.
and I know I haven't made speculations or wild claims, and so yes, that has happened though. Sure, it's gonna
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. I mean, nobody,
Describe,
all my
just,
neighbors still won't talk about it. And if I talk to my neighbors, we talk about farming and stuff.
oh yeah.
And they know I've been on podcasts like yours, and thank you again, and thank to all your viewers. But it doesn't bother me. I'm very secure, in my position, and if you want to come and discuss with me, I'd be more than welcome to.
Despite everything you have experienced, what keeps you investigating?
What keeps me investigating? There's
Yeah.
the unknown. It's unknown. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's here, or why it comes and goes, or what it wants, what's it doing, what is it coming in on my farm for. So it's the unknown. That's a scientific concept. If it's unknown, then you got to continue to collect data, and hopefully there becomes a combination of data that comes together, and like a zipper, and makes a complete picture. And I don't have that complete picture. I have many questions, and as long as I have questions, I can capable. I'm 83 years old, but as long as I have questions and I'm capable of continuing to do experiments, and collect data and record it, I will. That's just me as a scientist.
No, we're nearly out of time. Finally, if someone listening tonight is experienced something similar, seeing strange creatures, experiencing missing time, witness unexplained lights, or encountering something they simply cannot explain, what would you tell them?
Record it, get data, get pictures, write time, date, as much information as you can about it. Record it, because it certainly appears there's other places, in the world it's like my hayfield. And again, I bought my hayfield to bale hay on. I was not, I did not know anything about the beast of Bray Road. And if this is presented to you as a person, it's put on your plate. So you put it on your plate. Now, what are you going to do with it? You're going to discard it into the garbage, into the garbage disposal, or are you going to partake of it and say, let's see what I have on my plate? And if I would advise somebody to say, okay, don't dismiss it. What's on your plate? Look at it. Try and get as much data as you can about it. Try and get as much information through pictures, and through experiences. Now it takes time. That's the problem. I'm retired. I'm retired math teacher, although I do have a farm, and we have animals and stuff to take care of. But I have available time. But that's the part that is very difficult for many people. If you have an experience, and you're have a family, you're probably not going to be able to do that, to do those experiments or do it. But don't throw it in the garbage. Collect it, keep it, and talk to people about it. We don't you know some of the people I've talked to have told me they won't tell anybody else because they don't want to get ridiculed. So, talk to people, and but don't ridicule anybody else, because these experiences are real.
Um, Lee, after everything that has happened on your farm, do you still believe that we truly understand the reality we live in?
Well, I mean, reality is relative. That's why it's reality. You know, what we see, we live in a three-dimensional world. Is there a two-dimensional world? There's another reality there. Is there a four-dimensional world? Math says there's multi-dimensional worlds. So we live in a universe or a world that's three-dimensional. Um, So, you know, is is this reality? This is reality. This is here. This is reality, but it's not a reality that we have right now that we have scientific knowledge of. I talked with many, physicists and biologists to try and talk to them about some of these items, and they just simply dismiss them because it's not their reality. It's not science reality. Physics is you know, um, behind and what we're trying to, discover in our world, and it certainly disrupts our normal three-dimensional reality. But yet we have two-dimensional reality in our world. Of course, three-dimensional is length, width, and height. Two-dimensional would just be length and width. There wouldn't be any height. But we experience two-dimensional reality all the time with a shadow. A shadow is a two-dimensional object that is in our world. Now, many people say, and I agree with this. I've seen figures out in my field that appear to be a shadow. They come and they briefly they'll move across my field
Yeah.
and other people have described them as a shadow. Okay, now is this a two-dimensional object which we can see in certain situations? A shadow we can see, that's two-dimensional. Is this figure now in a two-dimensional world of its own world that has come into our three-dimensional world and we're able to see that shadow? I think so. So that's reality. A two-dimensional object is reality in our world, length and width. A shadow does not have any height.
Amazing story. Things what have happened on your farm over the years. Um, I'm glad you can still carry on what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I will, as long as I can, and good Lord willing, and whoever is involved with trying to help me. Thank you. Thank those energy forces.
Where, rightly, where can people get in touch with you
I mean,
if they've got
Facebook.
any
Oh, go.
questions or anything like that?
I mean, Facebook Messenger is real good. Like you contacted me, Facebook Messenger. I don't have a website. I don't. I do the podcast like this, and of
Hmm,
course, I've done.
good.
A Travel Channel 3 times in Discovery and things of that type. But I don't have time to um, really, other people who have websites, they get a lot of information about other sites. I seen the dog man and my farm, and but see, I don't study any of those. I don't have time. I read about them a little bit, but I don't have a website because of that, because there would be a large amount of questions and things, and I need for somebody to understand what's at my farm at all. Need about 2 hours of time going through pictures and discussion. And so that's what I offer. Anybody can come to my farm. I offer for $100 up to 5 people, an hour and a half of pictures and discussion, and a half-hour tour of my farm. And if
Good.
anybody wants to contact me to do that, they can contact me through, through the best way is through Facebook Messenger. I keep that up on that, and I follow that, and that's the best place. The problem with Gmail is a lot of the Gmails, I did that for a while, but then I'd look over in junk and here's a Gmail from somebody who, I don't know, and the Gmail throws it over in junk. Well, then I never
Does.
see it. Yeah, so that's not good. So direct messenger by Facebook is the best way to contact me.
I
Lee
think it
Lee
is as well.
Lee Lee, Lee Hampel, and I'm on Facebook, and friend me and I'll friend you, and that type of thing. But you don't need to. We can still discuss on Facebook. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank
And,
you, Bob.
and thank you for the discussion today.
Well, you're more than welcome. I enjoyed it very much, and you asked very, very good questions and very, very enjoyable.
Thank
And
you so much.
thank you to all your viewers.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much.
You're more than
My
welcome,
guest
brother.
on Friday is Craig Sustoski. We're going to talk about 9/11 on Friday.
Okay,
A very interesting subject.
sure.
And about cancer because Craig got cancer. He's getting over it, but he wants to talk about it again.
Okay.
Um, so thank you again.
Oh, you're
Thank
more than
you to
welcome. Thank you.
everybody in the chat room.
And yeah, you take care, and thank you for promoting